Welcome to our unique financial channel, Million Dollars Made Easy. On this channel, we create spreadsheets and show you actual numbers of what has occurred using the returns for the last 100 years for the S&P 500. This video, we want to help you understand what sequence of returns risk actually means, and we're going to run some actual numbers to show you. For example, we have an individual who's going to have a 60-40 asset allocation, and he has 570,000 saved up. Says he's going to get, let's see, what was it? 2357 at age 67 from Social Security, but he's 62. He wants to take it at 62, so he's going to get 1,650. That's the very first year here. He's turning 62 here. So from his nest egg, oh, by the way, he figures he's going to need 4,500 a month. He currently lives on 6,000 a month, but he figures he needs about 75% of that once he retires. So he's going to get 4,500 a month, of which 1,650 is going to come from Social Security. So 2,850 is going to come from his nest egg. Going to give him a 3% COLA going down through here. And what we want to do is, again, we're using numbers for the last 100 years, which includes the depression years. We kind of figure let's include the absolute kind of worst case scenario, having depression type returns. How many times in the last 100 years, using every one of these years from 1925 on, how many times would you run out of money after 10 years, after 20 years, and after 30 years? We're going to go ahead and update this. This is a 6% withdrawal rate on this 570,000, taking into account Social Security. So that's kind of high. It's kind of high compared to the 4%. This one right here shows you how many times, what percentage of the time, 16% of the time in the last 100 years, given the returns for the last 100 years, you'd run out of money. You can see during the Depression years and also around the year 2000. Let's show you how this actually works now. We know we have a 16% failure rate. First of all, I want to show you that's a 60-40 asset allocation. Let's do a 70-30 just to show you if you left a little bit more in the stock market. Because the stock market generally 75% of the time it's going up. So if we just went from a 60-40 split to a 70-30 split right off the bat, now you only have a 10% failure rate. Now you got, again, during the Depression years and again around the year 2000. So let's actually show you what would happen if we went down through here. For example, if you had a good string of years when you first retire, that's good. Now, you're going to see these numbers as these 3 down years, 2000, 2001, and 2002. As we have these get closer, for example, if you retire in these later years around in here and get hit with these returns earlier in your retirement, that's going to really affect it. And the best way to show this, these are 1994 numbers showing this is what you have left after 10 years, 15, 20, and so on. Watch what happens as I change the years. These numbers are going to change. 1995 numbers were really good because look at these returns, folks. Watch what happens when I go 1996. They're getting a little bit less. Remember, you're starting out with 570,000. 1997, getting down there after 25 years. You're still good for 25 years. You still got 371,000. Watch what happens when 1998. You see what happened? You're running out of money in just over 20 years. You're down to $26,000 after 20 years. Why? Because these 3 down years, they call that sequence of returns. When those down years hit you earlier in your retirement, that's when it can really be problematic. Look at 1999 numbers. Again, we're looking at this box for each of these years. 1999, you're actually out of money in a little over 15 years. In actuality, you're out of money in 17 years. You can see it right down through here. Why? Because you're getting hit with these down returns first part of your retirement. And again, that's called sequence of returns risk. The worst case scenario is the year 2000, when you actually start out with 3 down years. This is what the graph looks like. Again, right there, you can see it. All these other years, you're just fine, except if we have depression type returns. But 10% of the time you have a problem during the depression years. And again, 1999, 2000, here's 2001 numbers. Again, you're starting out with some down years, and that's when you run out of money, in this case, in 16 years. Let's go back to 2000. What could you do differently? Now, again, it's kind of tough to look at the numbers for the year 2000 because you had such down years. But what would happen if you just took negative COLA or didn't take a COLA after a down year? See the difference between running out of money in 14 years. And if you don't take a COLA after negative years, your money lasts at least 2 years longer. What about if you start taking negative COLAs? In other words, instead of a 3% COLA going up, you're going to actually take a minus 2% COLA. And that still didn't help that much. Why? Because the year 2000 was so problematic because you had these three down years right off the bat. Now, if you had a different scenario, 1998, again, we started out looking at these numbers. You were running out of money in just over 20 years. If you took no COLA after negative years, then your money lasts 25 years. You're down to $1,000. We take a negative COLA of 2%, then you got all kinds of money left after 25 years. You got 156,000 left after 25 years, given a negative COLA. What that means is after a good year, you give yourself that 3% COLA, but if you have negative down years, the very next year you take 2% less. That's what we do running these numbers here just to show you. And if we update this, you're going to see this 10% improve some because you're taking these negative COLAs. Instead of a 10% failure rate after 20 years, it's just recalculating. Again, the real issue is you're trying to take out 6%. Now you're down to a 6% failure rate. And again, we got the depression years and around the year 2000. But in every other scenario, you're just fine given these scenarios. Year 2000, you're still running out in 17 years. 1999, you're running out of money in 19 years. 2001, you're running out of money in 18 years. That's the right there. Again, most of the time, 94% of the time, you're just fine. These are the kind of numbers you'd have after 20 years. It's just those problem areas around the depression years and around the year 2000 that you have any kind of an issue. And you can ameliorate that a little bit if you start taking negative COLAs, and maybe you do just a 2% COLA. See the difference that made? You do a 2% COLA after good years and a negative 3% COLA after bad years, your money would last even, maybe year 2000, you'd still be running out of money just over 20 years. Year 2001, you got money left after 20 years. 1999, you got money left after 20 years. Again, it all depends on when those initial down years happen when you first retire. If you get them right off the bat, consecutive down years, that's when you have an issue. But folks, that's so rare to have consecutive down years. You had 4 consecutive down years in 1929, 3 consecutive down years in 1939, 40, and 41, 2 consecutive years in 1973 and 74, and then we had these 3 right here, which was much more recent. That's the problem with sequence of returns risk. It can hit you if you first retire and you get hit with this unlucky 3 down years in this case. Then you might have to change some things, change your COLA, maybe take some negative COLAs, and maybe even not take 6%. What would happen? Let's just stay with the year 2000, which is the most problematic in the last 30 years. Right now, you're running out of money in just over 20 years. What happens if we just go down from a 6% withdrawal rate to let's see, just under a 5% failure rate? Look at that. Then you got all kinds of money. You got half your money left after 25 years. But again, if you're looking forward to needing 4,500, it'd be kind of hard to go down to 4,000. What if you went to 4,200? 4,200, you'd still have money left after 25 years. Again, 4,500, if we have this sequence of returns risk, that's when you have an issue running out of money in just over 20 years. But if you just cut back maybe a couple $100, you got 100,000 left. You're still running out of money in less than 25 years. 4,200 is when you finally have money lasting 25 years. You have 70,000 left. I just wanted to kind of explain. All depends those initial years. If you can start out with some really good years, then these negative years, even these 3 consecutive down years, don't really hurt you that much. If you have some good years to begin with, you can see right here, we had returns like 1996. Even though you got these 3 down years, you'd have 1.617 million left after 25 years. You could easily handle these 3 down years. It's when they happen right off the bat, sequence of returns risk, that's when you have a problem. But again, you can help ameliorate that a little bit by taking a little bit less and maybe taking a negative COLA after down years. Folks, that's what we do on this channel. We just love running numbers for people. We just set up spreadsheets and show you all these different variables that you really need to take into account. In this video, obviously, we're looking at the sequence of returns risk, so you really understand that. Again, it's kind of luck of the draw when you first retire. If you get hit by those down years right off the bat, that's when you could potentially have a problem and have to cut back on your withdrawal rate from 6%, maybe less, maybe down below 5%, getting closer to the 4% rule. Please consider subscribing to this channel. Please let people know about this channel. Let them know there's a channel out there that will run all kinds of different numbers and point out different concepts like sequence of returns risk, because you really need to understand how each of these affect your retirement planning. Please subscribe. Please share this channel. Please like the video. And thanks so much for watching.